Hey there, this is going to be the same intro for all of the upcoming weekly devotional videos. In January of 2022, we did a question and answer Sunday, and you guys submitted so many questions, there was no way that I could possibly answer them all in a Sunday service. So what we decided to do instead was answer as many as I could in that Sunday service and take the rest and make them weekly devotionals. So what you are about to see is a question submitted by members of the congregation for question and answer Sunday, but we're going to be answering these over an extended period of time. So I hope that you enjoy this weekly devotional. I hope that you are having a fantastic day. And if you have any questions about Kenoi Brethren in Christ Church, if you want to get involved in some way, shape, or form, feel free to check out our website, kenoichurch.org, or email me at nick@kenoi.org. Have a great day. Well, good morning. This question today, here's the thing that's important for us, I think, to realize is that we don't know exactly where our questions are coming from, but these are questions that people have that do need an answer to. And sometimes the safest way to ask those questions is through something like a question and answer Sunday. So this question today says this: is the Catholic Church like the Pharisees, that they dress in robes and stuff? And honestly, I think that's sort of an interesting question. I don't want to make any assumptions about the person who's asking the question or why they're asking the question. So what I'll do is I'll share from my point of view. I grew up hearing from people who I respected, who were family members, who were in positions of respect, that Catholics weren't Christians. And this belief was probably tied up in a number of things. Some believed that the Catholics worshipped Mary instead of Jesus. Some people felt like intercessory prayer to the saints was a form of idolatry. Some felt that Catholics mostly went through the motions. They did infant baptism and then kind of disappeared from regular church life, and then showed back up for confirmation, and then disappeared, and then got married, and then did some periodic confessions, but didn't really have a relationship with Jesus. Some people felt that the fancy, prim, and proper nature of high church was also a form of idol worship. Some felt that regular liturgies, like prayers and responsive readings, were just routine and not spirit-filled enough. And at some point, what I realized was how judgmental all of those assumptions really are. And I want you to remember that I'm not saying the person who asked this question has any of those assumptions or is judgmental. I'm simply recounting part of my childhood and my realization about the things that I was told about people who were Catholic. The simple truth is that any of those things, going through the motions, disappearing, being more into the prim, proper, fancy nature, idol worship, all of those things, any of those things could have been elements of any Christian background. The genuineness or authenticity of our faith could be called into question. That's not a Catholic issue, that's a Christian issue. So make no mistake, there are some major theological differences between the Catholic Church and, say, our church at Kenoi Brethren in Christ. But I have to say I'm far more comfortable with the Catholic Church than I am with Calvinism, Southern Baptist, or even some of the segments of the Evangelical Church. Now, I'm not going to get into my comfortabilities with certain other Christian denominations versus others, because that's not the question at hand, nor am I going to explain all the differences between us and those other segments of Christianity, because that also isn't the question. The question is, are Catholics like the Pharisees because of their robes and stuff? And my answer is no. First, robes aren't a Catholic thing. They're a high church thing. High church is a term we use to describe types of churches who place a high level of importance on ritual, priestly authority, sacraments, formality, and usually a resistance to modernization. parts of Christianity that would fall into this category and would have robes and stuff are, yes, the Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, Anglican Church, some Lutheran churches, Presbyterian, some Methodist, and Episcopal. Our family of churches, the Brethren in Christ, the family of churches that Canoe is a part of, is considered a low church, which is a term that means that we place a low emphasis on ritual, priestly authority, sacraments, formality. What else did I say? We don't resist modernization. Low church tends to follow a freer worship style. And those who are a part of high church tend to judge those who are part of low church. Those who are part of low church tend to judge those who are part of high church. And I'm honestly not sure why that happens. It might be because of the conflict in our history, sort of like a chip on our shoulder that we have with England. Like think about our independence. We have a bit of a chip on our shoulder with England. We have some jokes that we might say because we want our independence from them. Low church, and by the way, I'm sure that the English would have some jokes they would say about the Americas because of that same conflict. So on both sides of a previous conflict, there is some judgment and some joking that gets made about it. The way that our low churches were created came about because Martin Luther, who was a Catholic priest, broke off from the Catholic Church, and through that process, the Lutheran Church, were started. About 10 years after the Reformation is what we call that time, there was something called the Radical Reformation, and our founders broke off from the Lutheran group. Some Catholics and Lutherans broke away from both and created the Radical Reformers. Catholic Church and the Lutheran Church were high church, and so those who broke away from them founded a low church, and they were hunted, abused, and killed for it. And so maybe that has to do with some of the chip on our shoulder that, low church judges high church judges low church. And we end up with people who have been told or come to the assumption that if you're a part of a high church with the robes and stuff, that you're more like the Pharisees. Or you grow up hearing some of the things that I shared with you that I heard growing up. But all that to say, robes and stuff don't make you a Pharisee. The problem with Pharisees was a number of things, but I'll put it simply was this. It was hypocrisy. It was creating hoops to jump through, grasping on to power, being legalistic, greed, and being knowledgeable about God, but not loving God. And you can do all that in robes, and you can do all that in jeans. So, quite simply, I have a lot of respect for the Catholic Church, and whether you realize it or not, many of us enjoy the theology and the hymns and the history that has been handed to us by our fathers and mothers in the faith who come from some of these high church backgrounds, even the Catholic Church. So I hope that answers your question. As always, feel free to shoot me a message through Messenger on Facebook or nick@canoe.org. And if this was your question and I didn't quite get at it, feel free to let me know and I'll take another shot at it. Have a great day.